He's at this church, he meets a really nice woman. This woman, Lee. And Lee's a nice single mother with 3 kids, and Lee likes Hamburglar, so they start dating. Now, obviously, he doesn't tell her he's an escaped convict who's living in a nearby Toys R Us. Instead, he tells her he works for the government and that he can't tell her much about his job or his background because he says he has special security clearance and lives in a secret government building. And Lee's just like, alright, cool. Because she likes Hamburglar. I mean, she's a single mother and he's really good with her 3 kids. Like, he's always hanging out with them and bringing them new toys, which he stole from Toys R Us, but whatever. And this whole thing, it goes on for several months. But then, as time passes, it starts to get into the Christmas season. And Hamburglar decides this Toys R Us is getting way too much foot traffic for him to keep staying there, hiding out in his little cubbyhole behind the bike rack. So, he gets some tools, and during closing hours, he tunnels through the wall and into the next building over, which just happens to be an abandoned Circuit City. And there, he sets up a new secret hideout, inside almost a little closet area underneath a stairwell. And he had stolen a DVD player. So there, in Circuit City, he just kind of chills most of the day, and he watches a bunch of DVDs. And he is completely undetected. Until... as the holiday season ramps up, Hamburglar knows Toys R Us is about to make a ton of money. So he decides he's gonna rob them. So he waits until the day after Christmas, and when the store's finally closed, and the employees, they're still there, closing up and counting the money, and Hamburglar gets a pew-pew that he had stolen, and he sneaks into the Toys R Us through the tunnel he had made. And then bam, he approaches the employees, and he's polite, but he orders them to please put their hands up. But unfortunately for him, during this robbery, 2 Toys R Us employees quickly manage to slip out the back door, and they run as fast as they can until they get to a phone and they call police. And then police show up and they try to corner Hamburglar. But Hamburglar, he's a bit crafty, and he manages to escape through that tunnel he created. So then police find the tunnel, and eventually they find his secret hideout under the stairwell in Circuit City. And in his hideout, they find a DVD he had been watching. And from that, they're able to get his fingerprints off of it. And that DVD, coincidentally, catch me if you can. Anyway, once they have his fingerprints, they correctly identify him. And now they know he's the same guy that robbed all those McDonald's back in the day and then later broke out of prison. Hamburglar. So police put out an APB letting everyone in the community know that there's an armed convict on the loose. And then the story makes local news, and then they show Hamburglar's mugshot on the screen, and then some people from the local church, they recognize him like, hey, that's the guy who's dating Lee. So then police, they go talk to Lee. And then they explain to her that this nice guy who's been really great to her kids is actually a wanted ex-con. And Lee is sad and she's devastated and all, but she agrees to help. And then after they plan a whole setup, Lee calls Hamburglar and she invites him over to her 40th birthday party. And Hamburglar shows up to see her, but instead of a birthday party, he finds the police waiting for him. Womp womp. So they arrest him again, and now he's back in prison. Shout out to Charlotte, North Carolina.